This is the Mad Scientist Memo. The Mad Scientist Memo. Here we go.
And we're rolling.
We're rolling.
Yes. Okay, so for the very first time ever,
Everybody.
we present to you.
The Mad Scientist Memo.
Yes, I'm your co-host Shreya,
I'm your co-host Zahra.
and today we are Okay, let's first give them a sort of expert about what they can expect. Moving forward.
So, we're just two second-year medical students,
Yeah.
and sometimes we have crazy ideas. This is one of them. This is a podcast where we come here and we talk about, like we talk about medicine and stuff we've learned along our journey in med school. And we do that by asking crazy questions. Things that nobody has ever thought about, or things that's just so random, but they teach us so much.
Yeah, things that are so random that maybe nobody should think about them.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. But here we are.
So today, okay, to give you an example of what it's going to be like, we present to you today's topic, right?
Yeah. Which is
Mom turned elastic and other fun facts.
okay. That's hilarious.
But also, that has way more to it than that.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about The Incredibles family, which is basically a show that I grew up watching, and I think it redefined superhero.
It fully did.
Yeah, superheroes and the entire concept for me. I think I still enjoy it so much.
I still enjoy it a lot. I was just telling her that it was probably a very late developmental milestone for me to attach myself to The Incredibles, but here we are.
Here we are talking
Yep.
medicine and Incredibles. So essentially, what today's episode is about is we're going to discuss the Incredibles family, each character, and their a medical basis to their powers,
Right.
and what it would encompass if we had to make a normal human an incredible
Yes.
character
Yes.
with incredible powers.
Yes.
So that's essentially what today's talk is going to be about. Today's conversation is going to be about.
Yeah.
So let's start. Let's start at the very beginning. How did this all come into existence? Like what on earth could have caused a certain family, a random family, or random people to have superpowers?
Okay, so we hypothesize that there has to be some sort of a genetic control to it, right? Come on, the power is done in the family. There is no way. It's sort of indisputable that it is an inheritable
Yeah,
trait.
it's even referenced in the movie itself where they say that
Exactly. The entire family is full of powers. We all remember that.
all five of
Scene.
them have
Yeah.
powers. So it's definitely got a genetic basis to it. That's indisputable.
Yeah. So there probably is some sort of a super gene that exists and is controlling all these genetic variations that are coming about.
That's true. And another thing I think, Shreya, is that since we also it's very obvious that all the kids, all of them have very distinctive and like unique powers. There's like yeah, it's so unique to each of them,
Yeah.
which probably means that the super gene in question is a pleiotropic gene.
Yeah.
Now let's rewind and go back to what a pleiotropic gene is.
Right.
It's essentially it's a single gene that has instructions for many different genes, many different seemingly unrelated genes, and therefore it's able to bring about varied effects on the body.
Right. So basically, just a gene that's controlling multiple phenotypic expressions.
Exactly. So if there's a gene like that is responsible for these powers, then it makes perfect sense that it manifests,
So differently in each
Exactly.
of them. We have Violet with her invisibility, we have Dash with his supersonic speed, and
Jack.
Jack is just a
He's
mess.
out of this world.
He's a total mess. He's a cluster of something. We'll get into that later.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. But
So now that we've laid the foundation that there's probably a super gene, it's pleiotropic, it's responsible for bringing about these cool, crazy changes in these people, let's go character by character and talk about each of their superpower.
Yeah.
Starting with the dad.
Bye.
That's right. Moving forward with the characters one by one. Starting with the dad, Mr. Incredible.
Bopper, the one and only.
My God, his powers are out of his world.
Taking his name gets her into like a full flush. Look at that. But anyways,
Nah, he's a vibe.
he is. He is. I don't know if it's a vibe. That's what you're gonna call it. But he could bench press the entire skyline of New York City if he wanted to.
I mean, even the way his powers are represented in the movie is crazy. It's like I love that. I wish I was that strong. I wish I could like I don't know, uproot entire buildings.
Right.
Nah, that
So
would be crazy.
today we're gonna learn how to take an ordinary girl like Zara and make her into
Bob
this
Barr.
one Bob Barr superhuman super strength. Right.
Right.
So the first thing Zara would need
Mm.
is the ability to generate extraordinary strength,
That's right.
and then the ability to what?
Maintain that.
Sustain that
Yeah.
strength. And then a very efficient cleanup system that's going to constantly be throwing out her waste metabolites so it doesn't really collect and accumulate.
Perfect. But I think before we dive into each of these things, Shreya, I think we should put out a very basic understanding,
Right.
which is the two types of muscle fibers in a normal human being. And these two types are based on the kind of glycolysis they undergo, which
Yeah.
means whether they're dependent on oxygen or not dependent on oxygen in order to generate energy.
Right.
So, type 1 muscle fibers are red, they're oxidative, they have large quantities of something called myoglobin, and they undergo oxidative glycolysis. They're dependent on oxygen. So essentially, the kind of strength they can produce would be analogous to a car running on like the second gear or third gear or something. So these fibers are able to sustain their force,
Yeah.
but they're not very good at like like sudden high amounts of intensive
Right.
force.
So like that sudden burst.
Yeah,
That
but
high
they're,
voltage.
but they're able to sustain whatever strength they're able
Okay.
to bring about. Contrast to that is type 2 muscle fibers, which is non-oxidative. They're not dependent on oxygen, but they're like car on gear 1. Like high amounts of intensive power, short bursts of energy. So I think Bob Parr would have a mix of these two because he's able to do a bit of both, but more. What do you think? What do you think he would have more of?
I think, of course, initially you're going to require that sudden burst, that jolt. But then overall, there has to be some sort of sustainability to it.
That's right.
Right.
I think he has. I think he would need more of the sudden jolt type of fibers only because of the kind of stunts we see him pull off. I think he has more of white muscles than
Really?
white muscle fibers. Yeah, I
Okay.
really think so. Anyway, now that we've discussed that there are two types of muscle fibers to aid, Bob Parr level cool stunts.
Yeah.
Let's go into his muscle hypertrophy. What is the deal with his extra large muscles?
Right. So another very interesting fact about Bob Parr I think we should mention right here is you guys won't believe it, but Bob Parr performs his own stunts. Crazy. So all of this is
For
highly
real.
based in reality.
Oh god.
But yeah. So myostatin. What
Myostatin.
exactly is myostatin?
It's a gene that produces a protein that is responsible for inhibiting muscle hypertrophy, inhibiting muscle growth. Like there's a limit to which gym bros can hypertrophy their biceps. Unfortunately,
Sad day to be a
in
gym bro.
humans, and there's actually a very interesting study that supports this, where they silence the myostatin gene in mice, and they
See the
observed.
muscular content of these mice double.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
double.
yeah. So basically, it's obviously there for protection.
Right.
But at this stage, I feel like Boppa does not even like he probably doesn't have myostatin. Like he has a
probably
very
does.
silenced myostatin
Right.
gene, which is why all his muscles, including his heart muscles, and we'll get to that in a bit, have extremely hypertrophied. Like they're extremely hypertrophied.
I completely agree, especially when we have so much scientific evidence.
Exactly. There's
backing
a
it.
very supported by a very interesting study.
Right.
So we've dealt with the
coming
muscles. Now let's go to the bones.
Yes.
So he's generating so much power. He should be able to sustain that
Yeah.
with a very robust skeletal system.
Yeah. It is also seen in high performance athletes and bodybuilders and stuff that all of these people they have a heavily reinforced osteon system. So they have like bones of steel,
That's
basically.
right.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that Bob Parr, to take that physiological
Load.
aspect
Yeah.
to the next level, because Bob Parr is extra like that, he probably has his bones infused with, like, I don't know, like iron or like some
Maybe.
mineral like that, where it makes it extremely dense, so that he's able to lift trains and do all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
his bones don't crack under that tension.
They don't. They're reinforced. They're just standing there.
That's
Yeah.
right. Again, we see this on a physiological level
Yeah.
in bodybuilders, in weightlifters.
Yeah.
We're just saying that Bob Parr is extra. He's
Right.
probably going to have it at another level.
Yeah.
Right. What was the third thing you said?
The third thing was an efficient cleanup system.
So again, it's necessary that when he's doing all these cool things and fighting villains and saving the world, he can't fatigue in between.
That would be a very bad plot line.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the more you put yourself into this work, the more metabolites you're collecting, the more waste materials are building up. So it is extremely pertinent that you have
A very efficient cleanup system.
Yeah.
A very well perfused, like all your organs should be perfused well enough so that lactic acid and all those metabolites don't build up.
right.
Now that we've addressed the basics, let's ask a very interesting question with regard to Bob Parr's like physiological basis,
Yes.
physiological parameters.
Yeah.
What do you
His-
think his BP would be? His blood pressure would be? Tell me what you think.
I think there are actually two sides
Right.
to his blood pressure, right?
Right.
Of course, there's going to be one when it's at a resting rate,
That's right.
and one when it's under this intensive amount of stress, when he's at his max capacity, pushing everything out.
That's right. And this is something. This is very related to that one answer that we all ratified for.
For university,
Yeah,
Yeah.
where like athletes have a reduced basal heart rate,
Yeah.
because they've trained so much that their heart muscle is capable of pumping more blood in one go. Like their heart has a higher stroke volume,
yeah,
which means that their basal blood pressure is a lot lesser
Yeah.
than a normal human being. It's the same case with Bob Parr. Maybe his basal heart rate, his basal blood pressure is a lot lower than normal human beings. It would, let's give it a hypothetical value like 95, 60, something along that lines, something along those lines.
yeah.
And then
For
there's
reference, the normal is 120,
120,
or 80.
80. That's right. And now let's go to the other side of the coin, which is when he's exerting and he's doing all these cool stunts. There's a different angle to this now, because one is that when you're lifting so much weight, you actually hold your breath. Have you noticed that in yourself?
Yeah.
And it has a name to it. It's called the Valsalva maneuver. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But basically, when you hold your breath like that, you're increasing your internal pressure like a lot more.
Right.
So that way he's increasing his pressure, internal pressure. And the second thing is that he's lifting such great amounts of weight, which is also contributing to that increased internal pressure. And now going back to physiology, there's all of this is going to cause an increased venous return, yada yada yada. Basically, his exerting blood pressure is going to increase so much. Like, it's probably going to be something like 1,000 by 700, which
Right.
is crazy.
It is absolutely
It's
crazy.
out of this world. Like, it's not even physio. It's not at all possible. If someone
Yeah.
had a blood pressure like that, they would die.
They would. Bob Parr wouldn't, but they would.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
want to be Bob Parr.
You'll get there,
Yeah, hopefully.
hopefully.
So now we've talked about his blood pressure. We've sort of dealt with how to make me Bob Parr. Let's move on to the next character.
Yes. All right. So, moving to the Mrs.
Elastigirl.
Elastigirl, better known as Helen Parr.
Oh my god, I love her name.
Helen?
I love that name.
Helen or Elastigirl?
Helen.
Helen is a beautiful name.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what exactly, Helen Parr aside, Elastigirl, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the beauty behind that.
Yeah.
So, what are the two main components that we have
No,
to
first.
sort of phone?
What are her powers?
Oh, what are her powers? Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
If you've not seen the movie,
And
just
if you
for-
haven't heard the name Elastigirl,
and if it's not self-explanatory,
yeah.
for your context, Elastigirl is basically capable of like super stretchability. Like she can just stretch like a rubber band and then boom, snap back into place and pretend as if nothing happened.
Have you seen that one toy, like Stretch Armstrong or something? The
Oh.
Stretch Astronaut?
Really?
Okay, irrelevant reference. Let's just gloss past down.
Yeah, no. So her powers are also very, very crazy,
Right.
crazy cool.
Crazy cool. And
Let's talk medicine now.
yeah. So what are the two components that we need to phone in on to understand the powers?
Elastin and collagen.
Yeah.
Biochemistry.
So, biochemistry. So to understand that, let's first look at what elastin and collagen is doing. Right.
Perfect.
So elastin is mainly present for elasticity.
That's
It's
right.
going to give us that stretchy, good, XYZ stories high feeling that Helen Parr brings to the table. Along with that, we have collagen. And collagen is mainly there for the tensile strength,
Yeah.
for the reinforcement, for maintaining that balance.
That's
that-
right.
Yeah.
So, what are you trying to say?
So what I'm trying to say is to make an ordinary human with an ordinary amount of elastin to collagen ratio, we probably to make that kind of a person,
Like Elastigirl?
like Elastigirl, we definitely have to blow the elastin content fully out of proportion.
Okay.
Right? A large amount of elastin, a large amount of elasticity. But along with that, there has to be some sort of modification or disruption in the collagen cross-link structure.
Okay.
Right, you know how we have the lysyl oxidase cross-linkages.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, so there probably has to be some disruption there that is going to weaken this structure and let this elasticity go and flow to an exact maximum. Right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it's also kind of cool to think about the shape of the structure. Like
Okay.
maybe the collagen is shaped more in this helical manner.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that
that's
on stretching, the
It's-
helical nature
I-
lets it stretch out
Oh
in
my
the
God.
maximum,
that's
ability.
crazy stuff.
Exactly.
And another thing I think is important here is titin. Now, again, going back to what we studied before, titin is essentially this molecule. It acts as a molecular spring. I
Right.
mean, if you've seen any image of, the microstructure of muscle, like basically the structures that make up the basic units of
Right.
muscle.
So the
There's actin,
sarcomere.
myosin, and then there's some complementary proteins like titin. And you'd notice that titin basically attaches the the myosin to the Z line. So it functions. Its function is to snap all the structures back into place, and it also makes sense because, like I mentioned, Elastigirl snaps back into her normal human size without being phased at all, which means on a microscopic level, that probably means she has a very competent titin
Right.
like structure
The
going
titan
on
probably
in her
has to be
muscles.
incredibly potent.
That's
to
right.
Recoil and get her back into shape so instantly.
Exactly.
Okay, so basically, are you trying to say that Elastigirl, we could find an analog as a rubber band? We've heard that before, right? Elastigirl rubber band.
Yeah.
And the rubber band structure is probably reinforced with her elastin and collagen. But to that, we add springs, which are
Whoa.
titan.
That's
So
actually yeah.
so Elastigirl is basically just a glorified rubber band with a few springs in between.
I love that analog. Another biochemical or another medical analog I think we find is with Ehlers-Danlos.
All right.
We've discussed this before. I mean, we've obviously come across Ehlers-Danlos before, and it's a disease of collagen. Like the formation of collagen is defective, type 1 collagen. So glycine is an amino acid which forms 1/3 of collagen. Like every third amino acid in collagen is glycine. But what happens in Ehlers-Danlos is that glycine is replaced by cysteine. So you're basically changing something that's very crucial to the structure of collagen,
Right.
so that the structure goes haphazard.
Okay.
So what that manifests as in Ehlers-Danlos is hyper extensible joints, hyper elastic skin, but also a lot of brittleness.
Okay.
Now, if we take away that component of brittleness
Right.
from like how
From Ehlers-Danlos,
manifestation, we basically end up with Elastigirl.
Elastigirl. Okay. And talking about Ehlers-Danlos, let's come to some compensatory mechanisms, which would be, in this case, some mechanism internally to regulate the pressure and the force discrepancies. Because think about it.
Yeah.
One minute you're standing, the next minute your limbs are just all across the place. There is
Uh,
going to be a huge change in pressure.
You're
There's
right.
going to be a huge amount of force. And there has to be some cellular cushioning to absorb this force, to absorb the pressure and dissipate it so it doesn't cause cellular damage, tissue
That's right.
damage.
That's right.
Right.
And where else do you think we see this pressure?
This hydrostatic pressure management.
Yeah. Echinoderms. Going back to 11th grade.
Yeah.
And Animal Kingdom. Was it Animal Kingdom?
It was Animal Kingdom. Yes.
Deja vu.
Yeah. Echinoderms also have this fluid regulatory mechanism where they're able to control
The pressure.
system to maintain that homeostatic nature.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Right. I think that's it for
That's it for Elastigirl.
Elastigirl.
Anyways, so this was it.
For part one.
For part one.
But we're also here to tell you that there's going to be a part two.
And that's going to be about the superpowers and the entire biological reasoning behind that of the kids.
The powers of the kids.
The powers of the kids. So we have Violet, we have Dash, and we have the
Jack.
infamous
Jack.
who's just an absolute nuisance, man.
So ensure to tune in to that as well when we roll that out.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening. Peace out.
We hope to see you there.
Yeah.